Hey folks, welcome back to another video. So let's directly jump into the video. Today is day 6 and day 7, so that's what I'm going to talk about. So by mistake I have written day 5 over here, so let me remove this and write again day 6. Okay, so there are two topics that I'm going to discuss, and I've completed both of them. So first would be on the day 6 would be design and implement IaaC. So what exactly is IaaC? IaaC means infrastructure as a code. So this is something that you need to know. So in this there are two things that you originally need to understand. First would be your ARM templates, second would be Terraform. Okay, ARM template is kind of heavy. It's a very large section. You need to hands-on on this, and do not make any kind of hurry. Do not take hasty decisions and take the exam within a 7 days span. Don't do that. I've been preparing it for since last 2-3 months, and I have an experience of this more than 2-3 years. So please do not do that. Study about it properly. You have exam till you have time till February. All right. So subscribe to the channel, please, because I really like to create more content for you. All right. So let's directly jump into it. So as I already said, that it is a very large section. You need to hands-on. It's all about managing the infrastructure. Infrastructure means creating of VMs, creating of services, everything on Azure. Okay. So the thing that you need to study over here is ARM templates. Okay. ARM template is Azure Resource Monitoring templates. So you create templates, YAML files on that, and then you can do use them with pipelines as well. So that's one thing. So what exactly you'll concentrate on? You'll concentrate on web apps. You'll concentrate on SQL DB. You'll concentrate on VMs, etc. So you'll try to create all this infrastructure using ARM templates. So that's what you want. And how do you modularize? So modularized templates means if you're using something for let's say you want to create a resource group, all right, and there are multiple resource groups that are present over there, then you need to modularize them. I mean, you have to create a separate folder for that. Just like in Terraform, when you modularize things, you have to do exactly the same. Okay. And what exactly is a nested template? Why do we need any nested template? What exactly is a linked template? If like one template is there, another template is, how do it's linked, kind of what is cyclomatic complexity is something that you need to understand. Okay. And ARM template within a pipeline. So whenever you create a pipeline, how do you how do you club an ARM template with the pipeline? That you need to understand both the things, JSON and YAML. YAML is kind of easier. JSON is kind of a very tough thing to understand. So even if you know JSON, go for YAML. That's what I'm saying. But in order to pass this exam, you need to understand both of them. All right. What happens when there is a failure in the pipeline, and how do you rerun a pipeline, and what exactly happens when you rerun a pipeline? Will it fail? Will it pass? That you need to understand, and this will come only when you do a practical session on this. All right. And once you are done with the resources, you don't want to use them, how do you delete them? So resource deletion should be another thing. Multiple environment deployment. If you have multiple environments, let's say dev, stage, QA, UAT, prod, pre-prod, something like that, you need to understand that. Okay. What exactly is an ARM template artifact? What exactly is an artifact? How do you create it using an ARM template? What is DSC? DSC, dynamic resource creation. That's you need to understand. And Azure CLI, you need to understand what exactly is Azure CLI. I mean, you can install stuff in your system, and then you can give commands to that. And there is online on the Azure there as well. On the if you create infrastructure from, if you want to go to Azure platform, you'll find it over there on the right side top. So you can give commands over there and execute stuff. All right. And what exactly is a deployment? How do you use Azure CLI for deployment? How do you use it for release pipelines? And that's all. Okay. The second topic, which is most important basically. So Terraform. So what exactly is a Terraform, and what exactly is Terraform file, state file? Why do I need it? How do I club it with the pipelines? How do I create resources in that? Terraform plus release pipeline, which I already talked about. DSC is desired state configuration. What exactly it is? Why do we need it? Then you need to understand team services agent, and after that custom script extension. How do I extend the script customly in a custom order? And then VMSS app health extension. Okay, so this is exactly what I studied in the last 2 days, and my exam is on 4th on Sunday, and this is something that I've discussed for day 6. So let's dive into day 7. Okay, so now let us understand day 7. So day 7 is all about deployment packages and test plan. Okay, so there are a few strategies that you need to know, and you have to visualize in the sense like what exactly is happening when I'm going to follow this kind of deployment strategy or deployment. Like for example, the first one, what you see is, let me select the green color, the blue-green deployment. So blue-green deployment, what exactly is blue-green deployment? Why do I need it? Why do I use it? What is the planning strategy? Let's say if you have one VM, so will you cut it off, or will you push the artifact in the new one, something like that? Or I could be totally wrong over here. What exactly is a blue-green deployment and how do you do it? You need to understand that. Okay, so something like hot site, something like warm site, or cold site, you can say, right? This is that you need to understand what exactly happens in blue-green deployments. The next one is web application deployment slot. So what exactly is the deployment slot? Why do we call them as slot? And how do you club a web application with deployment slot? Okay, after that, once you know what exactly is deployment slot, you need to club it with a pipeline. So how do you use deployment slots in a pipeline? That you need to understand. Again, there is one more strategy known as canary deployment. So we discussed like blue-green deployment, right? If you want to understand what exactly is the difference between blue-green deployment, rolling deployment, let me show you something. Let me open up a diagram. So if you go to my channel, and you'll be able to see what exactly is deployment strategy. So I have discussed a lot of deployment strategies in this, which is first is recreate, rolling, blue-green, and canary deployment. So you can go through this and understand what exactly is happening. Okay, same thing for rolling deployment. Why do we need it, and in what situation it is all right to use a rolling deployment strategy or canary or blue-green. Okay, post that you have to jump to Azure Traffic Manager. And how do you manage the traffic? And in that there is a sub part known as load balancer. So in load balancer, you need to know how to do the configuration part, how to do the VM setup, and how do we set up a VM inside a load balancer, how many VMs we can set, and how to do it. Post that, you have to have an understanding of pipeline clubbed with a load balancer. Okay, after that, package management is another important thing. You need to know how we create it, how we publish it. Okay, and then post that pipeline reports, flaky test. I have seen like when I gave it like last 2-3 years back, there were 3 questions on flaky tests. Okay, so that's what I have faced. And then Azure app configuration that you need to know. After that, Azure test plans. This is very important because a lot of questions comes from there, like 3 to 4 questions I've faced in my last exam when I took it. Post that Selenium. You do not need to go too much into Selenium. You just need to know what exactly is Selenium. It's used for web-based testing applications, web-based testing basically. And how do you integrate with Selenium? How do you get the reports, and how do you understand it? Post that you need to understand what exactly is test cases, and how do you create it? How do you run them, and what is the feedback extension? And at the end, just revise a bit of Azure artifacts and all of these. Okay, so I think this would be everything that you need to understand in day 6 and day 7. All right, so it's been like more than 3 months for me, 2-3 months for me since I've started studying this, and everything is going in plan. Today is 1st of December, and within 3 days I'll be having my exam on Sunday. So I'll be updating you. Also, I'll be creating a question series in which whatever I can remember, I'll tell you that how I did it and how I passed it, I suppose, or if I failed it, then I'll tell you what went wrong over there. All right. So folks, if there is anything, feel free to comment below and we will address that. Kindly subscribe the channel because it really motivates me to create more content like this. So I'll see you in the next one.